Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to Nine Nar Trees podcast. Today I will summarize and review the book, The End is Always Near, by Dan Carlin explores an unsettling idea. Throughout history, people have repeatedly lived through moments that felt like the end of the world. Drawing on the mindset of a storyteller and the curiosity of a historian, Carlin surveys catastrophes that shattered societies, rewired politics, and forced survivors to rebuild from ruins. The book connects ancient collapses, plagues, and imperial breakdowns to modern anxieties about technology, nuclear weapons, and systemic fragility. Rather than presenting apocalypse as pure fantasy, it treats disaster as a recurring historical pattern shaped by geography, human decision-making, and chance. Carlin is less interested in tidy lessons than in expanding the reader's sense of scale, risk, and consequence. The result is a fast-moving, big-picture tour of how civilizations fail, what people do when institutions crack, and why progress does not guarantee safety. It is written for readers who want history to feel immediate and consequential. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, apocalypse as a recurring historical experience. A central topic is the reframing of apocalypse from a single end-time event into a repeating human experience. Carlin highlights how many eras contained genuine doomsday conditions for those living through them. States fractured, trade networks vanished, food systems failed, and violence became personal and local. This approach shifts attention from cinematic destruction to the slow unspooling of order. The book emphasizes perception alongside facts, asking what it means to live without reliable information, stable authority, or predictable norms. By focusing on the lived reality of collapse, it invites readers to consider how quickly normal life can become unrecognizable and how resilient people must be to adapt. It also underscores that our modern assumption of continuity is historically unusual. Infrastructure, markets, and professional militaries can create an illusion of permanence, yet history shows that complex systems can snap under pressure. This topic sets the foundation for the rest of the book. Once apocalypse is understood as a spectrum of breakdown, the reader can better evaluate which stresses matter most, which warnings get ignored, and why human communities sometimes fail to respond until it is too late. Secondly, the Bronze Age collapse and the vulnerability of interconnected systems. The Bronze Age collapse functions as a case study in how highly connected civilizations can unravel in a surprisingly short time. Carlin uses it to illustrate that complexity is both a strength and a weakness. When multiple kingdoms depend on long supply chains for metals, food, and diplomacy, shocks can cascade across borders. Drought, migration, war, internal unrest, and disrupted trade can reinforce each other until recovery becomes impossible. The collapse is not treated as a neat mystery with one cause, but as an example of systemic fragility where several stresses converge and amplify. This lens is distinctly modern. It resembles how financial crises, pandemics, and energy disruptions interact today. The topic also highlights the human consequences of losing centralized power. Skilled crafts disappear, literacy can decline, and security becomes localized. Carlin's broader point is that what looks stable in one decade can be precarious in the next if the system relies on tight synchronization. For contemporary readers, the Bronze Age story becomes a warning about single points of failure and the dangers of assuming that globalization and technology automatically guarantee resilience. Thirdly, disease, demography, and the collapse of social confidence. Another major theme is how disease can function as an apocalyptic force by attacking the basic unit of civilization, people. Carlin examines the way epidemics and pandemics do more than kill. They fracture trust, overwhelm institutions, and destabilize economies and politics. When death becomes widespread and unpredictable, communities often reinterpret reality through fear, rumor, and scapegoating. Labor shortages can reorder class structures. State revenues can collapse, and military campaigns can stall or backfire. The topic also shows how medical limits shape outcomes. In pre-modern contexts, even elite power offered little protection, which could erode the legitimacy of rulers and religious authorities. At the same time, disease can accelerate change by forcing innovation, migration, or new social bargains. Carlin connects this to a broader insight: civilization depends on confidence that tomorrow will resemble today. Mass sickness breaks that confidence quickly. By presenting disease as both biological and social, the book encourages readers to think in terms of second-order effects: food distribution, policing, care for the vulnerable, and the psychological strain of isolation. This topic resonates strongly with modern experiences of public health crises and the political turbulence they can generate. Fourthly, empire, overreach, and the high cost of power politics. Carlin also focuses on the rise and breakdown of empires to show how concentrated power can create extraordinary achievements while building the conditions for abrupt failure. Empires expand by organizing resources, standardizing administration, and projecting military force, yet expansion creates long borders, complex logistics, and constant pressure to maintain legitimacy. The topic explores how overreach can appear rational in the moment, especially when leaders are rewarded for boldness and punished for caution. Internal corruption, succession crises, and economic strain can weaken the center, while external rivals learn, adapt, and exploit vulnerabilities. Carlin's emphasis is not just on battles, but on the social machinery behind them: taxation, recruitment, propaganda, and the management of diverse populations. When that machinery falters, violence can become decentralized and brutal. This topic also highlights the human tendency to normalize rising risk. Even as warning signs accumulate, institutions often preserve rituals of stability until the tipping point arrives. By examining imperial dynamics, the book helps readers see modern parallels in geopolitics, military doctrine, and the temptation to treat security as something that can be guaranteed through dominance. It argues that power can postpone catastrophe, but it can also magnify the stakes when systems finally fail. Lastly, nuclear, near misses, and the modern invention of instant apocalypse. The book culminates in a distinctly modern form of existential risk: nuclear weapons and the reality that civilization could be destroyed not over centuries, but within hours. Carlin examines how close calls, miscommunication, accidents, and flawed assumptions can bring nations to the edge. The key theme is that deterrence is not a perfect machine. It is operated by humans inside organizations that make mistakes under stress. This topic reframes nuclear history as a chain of decisions made with incomplete information, time pressure, and institutional bias. It also contrasts earlier collapses, where disaster unfolded across generations, with the compressed timeline of nuclear crisis, where there may be no recovery phase and no slow adaptation. Carlin uses this to question modern confidence in control systems, command structures, and rational actors. The lesson is not simple pessimism, but heightened awareness. The safeguards that prevent catastrophe are political, technical, and psychological, and each can degrade. This topic ties the book's historical arc together by arguing that the end is always near because risk accumulates with capability. As societies become more powerful, the consequences of error become more absolute. In conclusion, this book is best for readers who enjoy big history, military and political turning points, and high-stakes narratives that connect ancient crises to modern vulnerabilities. It will also appeal to anyone interested in risk, resilience, and how complex systems fail, including leaders, analysts, and readers who want history to inform present-day choices. The practical benefit is perspective. By showing how collapse can emerge from interacting pressures and human misjudgment, the book encourages readers to think in layers, not only what can go wrong, but what secondary effects follow and which institutions must hold under stress. That mindset can improve personal preparedness, civic literacy, and decision-making in uncertain times. Compared with many similar history or doom-themed books, Carlin's advantage is synthesis and urgency. He combines broad scope with an accessible narrative drive, avoiding narrow academic compartmentalization while still engaging serious historical questions. Instead of offering a single theory of collapse, he provides multiple lenses that readers can apply to different eras and current challenges. The result is a compelling argument that progress increases capability but does not eliminate fragility, making this a worthwhile purchase for anyone who wants history that feels consequential. If you would like to support Dan Carlin, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.